Hello, and thank you for joining. I am going to make a yummy tomato sauce, show you how. And the sauce will be also canned, so you can store it for winter or for years to come. First of all, I want to talk about tomatoes that we use for tomato sauce. There are two different types of tomatoes. Well, three. One's cherry tomatoes. You don't want to use those for sauce. They're just too small and too much pulp and seeds. And then we have slicers, so-called, and paste tomatoes. So let me show you the difference between a slicer and a paste tomato. And so here is a slicer. As you can see, they also have quite a lot of seeds and juice, the pulp. So generally speaking, you don't want to use slicers for sauce. Because you get the seeds out and then just keep the rest for sauce to have it thick and tasty. And so you will lose quite a bit of tomatoes that way. This is a paste tomato. It looks like it has a lot of seeds, but it actually has very few seeds. This is San Marzano, the best variety you can use for making sauce. Has unique flavor when cooked. Don't eat it raw. But when cooked, it's exceptionally good. So you want paste tomatoes for sauce. That would be San Marzano or Roma tomatoes or any other variety that's a paste tomato. The best, of course, is if you grow them yourself. However, if that's not possible, I recommend farmers market and ask for paste tomatoes. They may or may not know. But you basically want more meaty and less seedy tomatoes. Most people, when they make sauce, they get rid of the seeds from the tomatoes and the pulp. And the reason is that, at least two reasons. One is that you don't want the sauce, the end product, to be too watery. So that's a good reason to squeeze some of that stuff out. The other reason is that, presumably, tomato seeds are a little bitter and astringent, so you don't want that flavor in your sauce. However, I was checking online, and Cooks Illustrated is claiming they did a test, and they did sauce with and without seeds, and the tasters couldn't tell the difference. So, if we don't have to squeeze the seeds out, that's even quicker and simpler. So, let's start. I will show you here what I'm doing. So I have my tomatoes. I'm mixing the slicers and the paste tomatoes for sauce, and I'm squeezing out the seeds and some of the sauce, and then they go on a cookie sheet, baking pan. Now I have a few more tomatoes that I'm not going to squeeze the seeds out. I'm just going to put them in here, just cut in half, and you want the cut half down, and then the rest stays up. Oh, I want to show you also one more tool, a tool that is very handy for making tomato sauce. It's this little spoon-like thing with teeth, tiny one. It's really great for removing the blossom end from tomato. Sometimes it's really hard to remove them, so this is really making a big difference. So I'm just going to slice a few more tomatoes, and here is a big, nice, juicy one, also a slicer, and put them inside. I'm going to squeeze them, and I'm going to layer a little bit more. This is a deep pan in this one. So as you can see, these have been all squeezed, and then here I have tomatoes halves. Now I'm just going to put it in the oven. I usually don't preheat the oven, but it would be a good idea to put it on 400. 400 Fahrenheit, it's 200 degrees Celsius. Just put them on for 45 minutes to an hour. I would check after 45 minutes, and you want to see the tops browned, charred a little bit, just to give that smoky, roasted flavor. So I'm going to put it now in the oven, and I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm putting them in the oven. I'm going to start the heat on 400. I'm guessing here a little bit because the dial doesn't have the numbers anymore. It's worn out. Here's one. Here's the other one. And now we're gonna wait for 45 minutes to an hour. I forgot to mention one more thing. Usually when I put tomatoes in the oven, at the same time I start water for the jars. I'm using 1 pint jars. So I put the jar and this lid in the hot bath. So I will start already a pot, and I can fit 7 jars in a pot. They have to be completely covered with water, and the water has to be boiling for a couple of minutes before you can pick them up. And I will show you already the two tools that are really useful. This is, well, it will prevent you from burning yourself. This is for getting jars out of the pot. And then this has a magnet at the end for picking the lids from the hot water. I wish this was a little longer, but it is what it is. It still does the job. I am putting the jars in the water, and wanted to mention one more thing. These you can reuse year after year, but the lids themselves, once you use it once, toss it afterwards and get new ones, because they might not seal very well second time. So just keep in mind that you want to have always new lids when canning. Just gonna put them in. And put the lids as well. And start the water. All right, now we're set. Okay, the sauce is almost ready. I want to show you what I'm going to do next, what is needed. We'll just blend the sauce, tomatoes into sauce. So in the blender, you need these, very important because the baking pans will be 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so you don't want to get burned. All right, let's take a look at the roasted tomatoes, what they should look like. All right, here we're going to take a look, and hopefully you can see that the tops are nicely charred. When I get this out, you will also see that they're charred. You can hear also the pots are boiling, so that's exactly what we want. The pots need to be boiling for at least a couple of minutes before you start using them. Okay, so this is what the tomatoes look like. You can see a little bit of the brown on top. That's what I like in the tomato sauce. The flavor comes from that browning, the roasted tomato flavor. So since we're using the skins and everything, you want this very well blended. And now I'm going to get the jar. Oh, okay, let me show you how we're getting the jars out of the water without burning yourself, hopefully. Do it very slowly. And quickly, because you don't want the jar to get too cold. Now we're just going to get the sauce in. Hopefully this is visible. Nice. Now we're going to get the lid. Oops. Here it is. This is a very handy device. You close it, tighten it, and then if you put it upside down, you'll see that nothing is leaking. You don't want it leaking. And I'm going to do that with the rest. tomatoes are acidic enough where you don't have to worry about botulism, which is a bacteria that's very harmful. It can actually kill people. But in preserved foods, but it doesn't grow in acidic foods. So acidic in this case is 4.6 pH or lower, and tomatoes are acidic enough. But I was doing some research. Turns out they kind of can be on the borderline. So if you're concerned, you can add some lemon juice, and then you won't have to worry. Still, if you are in a few months, ready to open your jar and you see that it's bubbling, oozing something, then discard it. Don't use it. Something went wrong. Otherwise, it should be all good. So this is it. Let me show you now what this finished product look like. Here is the jar I just made, and you can see it's pretty runny. And I'll show you one I made about a week ago, and this is thicker and darker. This was roasting more like 1.5 hours. You just have to watch it. You can roast it longer. It will be more like paste rather than sauce. Just make sure it doesn't burn. I like plain roasted tomato sauce. I love the flavor. I don't add any spices because I can then use it for anything. But of course, if you want to add spices, you can. One more thing I want to mention is of course, you want to label your jars so you know when it was canned. These are dissolvable labels, highly recommended. When you put your jars in the dishwasher, they will be just gone, which is awesome. To summarize, this is a really simple recipe. You cut tomatoes in half, put the either squeeze or don't squeeze seeds, put the cut half down on the baking sheet, and in the oven roast at 400 degrees Fahrenheit to 100 Celsius, 45 minutes to an hour, and then just blend it. That's it. That's the sauce. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're gonna make it and let me know how you like it. And thank you for watching. Bye.